My dear friends, my dear masters, and my dear gods, we heartily welcome you all for this day 4 of this wonderful 21-day meditation program, Breath Awake. This program is being organized by Pyramid Valley International and Meditation Magic organizations. For those of you who is joining us for the first time, here's the structure of the program today. Every day, we're going to have 4 parts in the meeting. The first one being meditation for 40 minutes, then experience sharing by a master for 15 minutes, then wisdom sharing for 20 minutes, followed by question and answer session. If you have any questions during the session, please put them in the chat box. We'll answer them after the wisdom sharing session. We have a great master who is going to take us into meditation. Let's all welcome Shibu. Hi, Shibu, welcome.
Yep, struggling for the mute button. Good morning. Good morning and good evening, everyone. And thank you, Divya. Wow, 4th day, right? Already it's day 4. Just want to check in with everyone. Are you all enjoying the experiments? These are not sessions, right? These are experiments. We are experimenting on the self. So the folks on camera can always show me a thumbs up or this. Everybody, thanks, Yash. Thank you, Ashok sir. Thank you. And this is also a subtle motivation to come on video, in case you guys didn't catch it. All right, so thank you all. So just a very, very quick recap. Day 1 was meditation, right? We saw how simple it was. We went through the science of meditation, and we've been meditating for the last 3 days, right? So we are experts in meditation now. We are practicing it on a daily basis. Day 2, we looked at why part of meditation, why part of breath, why are we using breath for meditation? So we went into the detail for that. Day 3, yesterday, was about the brain waves, right? The different brain waves and the different states of consciousness. We understood, we explained that how it keeps changing through the day, right? And we also understood that there is a connection between the brain waves and meditation itself, which is of very interest to us. When we come in, maybe we are meditating, depends on the time of the day, but maybe let's say if you're coming back from work, we might be in a high beta state, right? All sort of thoughts are coming up. Maybe you didn't finish all the work at office, you're bringing it back home, a lot of stuff going on in the head. So it's like 1,000 tabs open in a browser, right? It's a lot of things going on there. And from there, when we sit for meditation, right? When I start giving instructions and when we say that now focus on the breath, that's where slowly things start changing, right? What is breath? We understood that breath is an anchor. You're using breath as an anchor, and slowly the thoughts start settling down, right? So high beta to the low beta, right? Low beta, and from there to alpha. Prithvi explained the various states. So the alpha to the theta, and possibly even delta, right? In advanced stages, where it is total thoughtless state. No body, no mind. That's where we transcend body and mind. Yesterday, we talked about, we identified in with body and mind, right? We have a body and we have a mind. So this is a tool. This is how we transcend those to who we are. I want to go into a message from today's master would be Ramana Maharshi. And the message is, our nature is peace and happiness. Thoughts can potentially be obstacles. Whenever a thought arises, do not be carried away by it, right? Just the point is, do not be carried away by those thoughts. What do we mean by our nature is peace and happiness? We don't have to go searching for peace or happiness, right? We are that. We are already peace and happiness. When a thought comes in, the point is when a thought comes in, When we get involved in a thought or when we get entangled in it, that's when we get identified with that. Right? And all we are now, we start losing those peace and tranquility and whatever we have, right? Because we're now getting entangled into it. That's what we mean when we say that thoughts are obstacles. Thought by itself is not the problem. Thoughts may come, thoughts can come and will come. It's up to us to whether to get entangled into it, which is why we keep giving you instructions. Do not go with the thoughts. That's what it means. Simply come back to the breath. Breath is the anchor. Use the anchor and come back. So don't get entangled into it. So to kind of give an analogy, right? It's like the view from a mountain. Let's say you're looking at it on top of a mountain and looking down. What do you see? A beautiful, beautiful scenery, right? Now imagine you're stuck in a ditch or a well. What do you see? It's exactly the difference what we're trying to say. We have that overview, right? Don't get stuck into these thoughts. Always come back. And what I always feel is peace is ours to lose, not to gain. With this, let's get started with the meditation. Again, thank you for everybody who has kept their videos on. Thank you, Vinod sir. I see you taking off the spectacles. That's exactly what I was going to say. So thank you for doing that. That's also an instruction for everybody who's done it yet. So please take off spectacles if you're wearing one. Sit very, very comfortably. Take your time. Move your hands, move your feet. No rush. Take your time. Sit comfortably. Once you have comfortably sat down, it could be a floor or a chair. Next step you do, clasp your hands. Cross your legs or feet, depending on whether you're sitting on a chair or on the floor. Most importantly, close your eyes. Give yourself the time. Settle down. Remember, there's no hurry, nothing to worry, because we have closed the outer world. Eyes are the windows to the outer world. Eyes are closed. There is nothing to be done right now. Relax. Just relax your body. Feel free to move around if you have to. Stability. Relaxed. Comfort. Sukhasana. Be as comfortable as possible. Stable. Just park your body. Let's put an intent to relax our body and mind. Let's drop all the expectations from this day, from everyone, and even from this meditation. There's nothing to be gained. We are already peace. We are peace. Let's stop all doing. See if there is any tension anywhere. Just scan through the body, head to toe. Just make sure if there is any tension anywhere. If so, just release and relax. Breath is always happening. Now let's start observing the breath. Observation is our innate nature. Let's go from thinkers to observers. Watch your breath. In breath, out breath. Just be with your normal, natural breath. Relax more and more. Full attention to the present moment, this breath. See the sensations on the body caused by the breath. Feel it. Let's not try and manipulate the breath. Just be with the normal, natural breath. Thoughts might come, which is okay. They are like the clouds in the sky. Observe and let them pass. Just be with your normal, natural breath. Allow your body to breathe naturally. Just be the witness. Keep observing. Let's be with every breath. Each and every breath is unique. Feel the peace. Come back and be with your normal, natural breath. Ana, Apana, Sati. Be with your breath, dear friends. Last 10 minutes. Continue being with your breath. Last 3 minutes. Slowly come back to your friends. Take your time, no hurry, in your own time and space. When you're ready, slowly unclasp your hands. Place them on your eyes. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you so much, dear friends.
Thank you so much, Shibu. Wonderful meditation. I hope everybody is back from meditation. The next portion is experience sharing. Today we're going to have two very young and dynamic masters joining us to share the spiritual journey. They are Tanishka and Vaishnavi Avaduta. And Tanishka and Vaishnavi, they are pursuing 7th and 8th grades in Dallas. They have been introduced to breath meditation by their parents in 2020. Ever since then, they have been practicing it at least 30 minutes a day, and they're already read so many spiritual books. Let's all welcome them and hear more about how meditation has helped them in their life. Tanishka and Vaishnavi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so happy to see you and very excited to listen to your journey today.
Thank you,
Can we
Auntie.
also have Vaishnavi on the spotlight too? Tanishka, you want to go first? Then we can hear from Vaishnavi. Yeah, kindly unmute.
Hello, my name is Tanishka Udita, and today I'm going to share my experience with all of you. Well, when I first started meditation back in 2018, I went to India during the summer holidays, and I've learned about Master CV meditation. I've done that meditation for about 3 years, and that was simply saying Master CV 3 times and just sitting in meditation. You don't need to do anything, just sit there. Well, I didn't like meditation at first, but then once COVID started, I came into PMC meditation through my family. And once I started doing the meditation, I didn't like it. At first, I thought it was a waste of time to sit there and just concentrate on your breath and ignore all your thoughts. But then later on, when I actually started focusing on my breath, removing all my thoughts, have had a huge impact in my life. I've seen life in a huge different way. Before I see it kind of negatively, but now I'm seeing it in a way more positive way. And my grades, they have drastically improved. And well, my life got a lot more beautiful. Let me just say that. It helped me so much. I manifested so many things. It helped me with my health. It was such a great experience. And one of a great experience that I had, it was this year. There was these weekly Sunday meditations happening here in Dallas. So we were holding hands and doing meditation. And at that time, I was continuously moving in a circular manner like that. And I couldn't stop myself. It was this force continuously pushing me. And then after 30 minutes, I continuously doing that. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder. And with closing my eyes, I saw a white pants and an orange kurta. And moment that person placed his hand on my shoulder, I felt warm energy flow through my body, and I immediately stopped moving, and I sat silently like that. And then I asked, "Who are you?" And when I asked, "Who are you?" I saw 2 faces that came into my mind. Those 2 faces were Patriji sir and Babaji sir. And that one experience motivated me to do more and more meditation, to get more and more experiences like this. And well, if there's anything else to say, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanishka. It's really inspiring. We all think that meditation is for when we turn about 60 or 70 years old, right? You're the example of the meditation that's started to be at a very young age. Thank you so much, Tanishka.
Thank you for allowing me to have a chance to share my experience.
Our pleasure to have you, Tanishka. Thank you so much. And now let's hear from Vaishnavi Avaduta. Hi, Vaishnavi.
Hi, Auntie. So I'm Vaishnavi. So I started meditation when I was 8 years old, like Tanishka. We went to India, and I started doing Master Seed meditation. For 3 years, I did that. It was okay. I had some experiences, but not like drastic changes and all. But when I came into PMC meditation, my life, it just like came from like normal to like this wonderful thing. So I got to manifest. I had experiences. I found passion for like the things I like doing, dance, music, playing the guitar, reading. I like found so many passions while doing meditation. So one of the experiences I had was manifestation. Through meditation, I started manifesting. So I moved to Texas in February of this year, 2022. And in the beginning in school, I didn't have many friends. I went to school for 3 months. I had some friends. So over the summer, I manifested that from on now, I will have a bunch of friends. I will know a lot of people in school. Sat in meditation, thought about that for a few times, and did a few meditations like that. And when school started, oh my God, I have so many friends now. It's like amazing, and it's like wonderful how much power we have in our like hands that no one really notices until like they're older. And I'm so thankful that I was able to get this like when I'm this young. So I had a lot of changes. So in school, how many kids go through depression, anxiety, and all that stuff, I never had to go through any of that. I never had to face a lot of drama. My life had just been like a smooth, nice road. And I feel like prepared for the future. I feel like I can do anything. Through meditation, I connected to my love for reading, right? So through reading, I read my first spiritual book, Sita Makhata, Untold Story of Sita. It's a wonderful book. And through meditation, I was able to read this amazing book. And Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which is also an amazing book for agreements. Like it's just amazing. Dance, I do dance, right? So when I was doing dance before, I didn't like enjoy it that much. I didn't find like happiness or like, like I didn't like it doing it much. So after doing meditation, I now like love it. Like I like put my love into my dance rather than just doing it because like I have it as an extra class. So I hope like my experience motivated all of you guys to do more meditation and to have kids do meditation. Thank you.
Definitely, Vaishnavi. Definitely, you're motivating all of us to do more and more meditation, especially people like me who doesn't have time or doesn't like to read books. You're the inspiration for us. Thank you so much, Vaishnavi, for joining us.
Thank you, Auntie.
Okay. So, my dear friends, we're going to the next portion of the meeting today. That is our wisdom sharing. We have a wonderful master joining us from Canada. She is Yashaswini Bajaj. She's going to talk to us about science of observation. She's a physical therapist by profession, practicing in Toronto. She has keen interest in mind-body-soul connection that goes beyond conventional practices. She started meditation journey in the year 2014. She's also a certified neuro-linguistic hypnosis coach. With this, let's all welcome our speaker for today, Yashaswini Bajaj.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Divya. Hello, everybody. Namaste, everyone. Let's get started. Okay. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. Okay, let's get started. So the topic for today is science of observation. And okay, so firstly, let's understand what observation really is. As you can see, observation is defined by 3 key words. The first thing is attention. The second word is awareness. And the third word is stillness, being able to witness. So what is observation? You can observe something only when you are able to give your attention. In your present moment, where are you currently focused? Where are you giving your attention? That's what you are observing. The second thing is, how else can you observe? When you are aware of something, you observe. And when you are able to witness, a witness doesn't always involve in what's happening, but just observes. So this is a fair picture, and we will dive deep into this concept today. And let me also read this quote. You are not your thoughts and feelings. You are the space in which they come and go. Just like the sky that is unaffected by seasons. There may be cloudy days, there may be rainy days, there may be sunny days. The weather can keep changing, but the sky remains the same, just like how we are. At the start of today's session, Shibu described how we are pure peace and love and joy. That's you, just like the sky. But your thoughts are like these clouds which can come and go. It can rain sometimes, it can be a nice weather sometime, but you are like the sky. That is, your original state is like peace and joy and love. And as you learn to be in this state, you can observe better, you can meditate better, and there are so many other benefits that we will discuss in the coming slides. Now, so how do you observe? We don't just observe with one faculty. We use our eyes, we use our ears, skin, nose, and intuition. In order to make you understand this better, I want to tell you about a short story. Once upon a time, there was a very popular painter in Italy, and this painter had a friend who visited him, and he requested this painter to teach his son to paint like him. Now, the painter agreed, and he asked him to bring his student the next day. So on his very first day, the student has been given a task. This painter, who is the master, places a fish bowl and asks the student to have a look at the fish. He just says, I'm giving you 2 hours, observe this fish. Observe what it looks like, what it does, and I'll come back. After 2 hours, the master comes back and he asks his student, what do you see? How many fins did you count? How many fins did you observe? And the student says, oh, I didn't count. I didn't observe that. So the master says, okay, take 1 more hour and I'll be back. Just observe. The second time the teacher comes in, he asks, what did you observe? Did the fish have eyelashes? What was the color? What is the color on its head? And the student again says, oh no, I didn't observe that. So one by one, he goes on like this with over 40 different questions. That's when the student realizes there is so much that you don't really observe. There is so much that goes into observation. And this is using just vision. Then you can also attentively listen. There are so many cues and information that you get when you listen intently. When you give your attention to somebody, you can observe much better. You can observe not just through your senses, but sometimes it's your inner guidance. You can observe your thoughts. You can also get intuitive nudges, which we will discuss in detail later. Now, let's understand this concept. A lot of us have developed certain beliefs. Most of the things we say and do are imported. The reason we call it imported is probably, if you reflect, you might notice we imitate our parents, our friends, social media influencers, teachers, so many people. There are so many out there who influence us to think a certain way, to act a certain way. And all of these belief systems are not always our own. So we sometimes tend to instill other people's ideas in our head. So we unconsciously mimic people. And there is an example which I again want to describe to make you understand this better. There is this, once upon a time, there were 3 children watching TV. And while the cartoon started, they noticed that during the scene, there was a lot of fighting involved. Like the main characters are fighting with each other, hitting each other, being mean to each other. And guess what? Right after they turned off the television, all 3 of them, the kids started beating each other up because they imprinted from what they saw. And maybe with kids, it's much more easier, but we also do the same. We are often influenced by what we see, and we imprint what we often see on social media, what we see around us, and what we read in the news. So I want you to ask yourself, as an observer, who am I? What is my belief? And based on that, you can ask yourself these questions. This will help you understand yourself better. Anybody can become an excellent observer. All you need is some curiosity. When you have that childlike curiosity, you develop some fascination for life. And because your energy is so fascinated, you will uncover mysteries. You will make life easier and more interesting. So I want you to reflect on these questions. How do you talk to others? How do you think about life? What are your belief systems about your career, love, and other things? Are they yours, or are they somebody else's mentalities that you have absorbed? Also ask yourself, what are the layers that you have absorbed, and slowly uncover, peel each layer away. And as you uncover other people's beliefs that you have been mimicking, you notice who you really are. So this will help you identify who you really are. And our nature, we are just designed, human nature is reactive. When we don't meditate, or when we haven't really understood the concept of observing or being in a more responsive state, rather than reacting, if we can start to respond, that is a more healthier state. But by nature, we are impulsive. Even the things around us, like social media, works on impulsivity. Marketing works on impulsivity. People want us to get instant gratification, and the idea is to observe these patterns and have more control over ourselves. So what is reactivity? It is becoming addicted to reaction. The more reactive you are, the more entangled you become with form. Now, if you can think of responding, the first person I think of is Buddha. No matter what, there's like calm Zen energy. So the idea of observing is to be detached from reactivity. And every time we work a little more, we get better. Nobody has a perfect response to life, but we can get better each time we observe. Now, this is a very important slide. Observation versus thinking. What really is different? You might think it's all the same, but observation involves just being a witness, not being colored by the thoughts. Just like the example I gave earlier, think of observation like the sky. The sky remains constant, unchanged, expansive, whereas when you look at the season, the temporary seasons, you may find heavy emotions. Like thinking is like seasons. You might feel happy. You might feel a range of emotions like rage, happiness, worry, sadness, excitement. Like different seasons can come and go. But you understand that you are like the sky, unchanged by those thinking patterns, or more like not getting enmeshed in those emotions. And how do you know how to observe better? It's one thing to know the concept, but how? The idea is like in meditation, when we observe our breath, we are in the present moment. Observation happens in this moment only. Observation is about the present moment. Whereas thinking, you can be thinking about your yesterday, your tomorrow, your years ahead. You could be worrying about the future or the past. Whereas as an observer, you can observe only in this present moment. You can observe your body, you can observe your thought, you can observe your breath. You cannot observe your past breath, can you? Nor can you observe your future breath. The only thing you can observe is your present breath, just like observing the present moment. So in order to become a better observer, just be in this moment. Being in the present moment and driving your attention to where you need to focus on is observation. Thinking you do not have to be invested into every thought you think. You do not have to be affected by every thought you think. Notice that you can detach like an observer. And what can you observe now that you know that this is observation. So we can always start with ourselves. Rather than observing others first, let's begin by observing ourselves. Why don't you ask yourself, what do I look like physically? Observe the way you walk, observe the way you talk, observe the way you look, you sound, your tone, observe your behavior, observe your actions. Is there a certain emotion that triggers you? Is there a certain person that triggers certain behaviors? Ask yourself, what does this bring up? What does this make me react for? And you can observe your reactions. Were you being your calm self? Were you being impulsive? How are you reacting to different situations? And as an observer, you will notice amazing clarity. Just like Shibu said, observing from a bird's eye view, from a very high point of view, like climbing up the mountain and looking around gives you a better perspective and better view, rather than being in the thick of it, being right in the middle of it, like deep in a well, versus on top of the mountain. The perspectives are different. So in order to observe, you can start with observing yourself. Based on understanding yourself, you can also observe others. If you start to listen to others, you might be able to save people from feeling sad. You might be able to observe that because you observed, you could prevent accidents, you could prevent not paying attention, also leads to issues at work, with relationships, everything. So as you begin to observe, it's the best gift you can give to yourself and others. That's your attention in that very moment. Being fully present is observing. Now, it's one thing to observe. What if you notice something you don't like in yourself? Each one of us wants to improve. We want to get better. We want to improve ourselves. But when you observe yourself, the key is not to criticize, not to be harsh with yourself, and to do it without judgment. That means you are a witness. You're detached from the actual event, and you are observing from a neutral perspective. In observation, you take in the whole and refrain from drawing conclusion. That means you don't jump into immediate emotions, or you don't jump into conclusions. You just watch, you just observe. Just like when you meditate, you are with your breath, you are observing. Your thoughts may come and go. Initially, the traffic of thoughts may be very high, but as you keep detaching, as you cut those thoughts, every time you tell yourself, be with your breath, just this breath, you cut those thoughts as an observer. When you observe, you have the power over your attention, and you cannot easily be influenced by those thoughts. And eventually, as you do not add to those thoughts, you can be in that wholeness, in that perspective where you can observe everything. So this is also key. Without judging yourself is when you observe. And next, let's also talk about how you can observe. What else can you observe? Observe your state of being. How do I feel today? What is my emotion today? What do I think about myself? How am I walking? How am I eating? How do I react? How do I feel when I'm peaceful, when I'm joy, when I'm blissful? What activities give me this feeling? How can I spread this to others? You can ask yourself these questions. Observation is the first step to beginning your spiritual journey. And you can observe your observation as well, because we as beings are observers. So we can observe what is going on. Now, observation, the benefit of this skill is it creates distance between you and the object. So you don't get affected by it like really bad. So you respond and not react. To give you an example, if you are in the middle of an argument, like with your friend, you're like really angry and you're shouting at each other, your friend is being harsh, you respond back, you react with like the same harshness. What happens? You're both enmeshed in those thoughts, in those intense feelings and that drama. But if you were to remember this today's slide, and you were to ask yourself, I am going to be an observer in this very moment. I'm not going to be involved in this drama. I'm going to observe myself and observe my friend's behavior. Suddenly, You might find this behavior comical. You might find it from a place of understanding. You might actually sympathize with them or where they're coming from, or you might find it like a silly thing and laugh it off. Being detached gives you a better perspective. So, as a detached observer, it is far better to observe than to absorb every word, like in that case of fighting, right? So, observing creates inner focus and it allows us to see reality. Sometimes in our head, we maximize our fears. The reality is not so bad, but sometimes in our head, we overthink and make things so big and so fearful and so heavy. But in reality, if you were to detach from that feeling, if you were to maybe ground yourself, go for a walk and ask yourself, what am I thinking? What are my patterns? As an observer, you will realize the reality is far better from what you're imagining. So, being a detached observer is the best skill you can develop. Now, the benefits of observation are many. It helps you correct yourself, it helps you gain control over yourself so you're not impulsive. And it also helps you not be affected by reaction of others. If others are mean to you, judging you, anything at all that you earlier would fight back, you probably have more understanding, or you have a different perspective, or you come up with a higher solution to the same response. You don't react in the same ego pattern. And then this also leads to self-dependency. You feel you are responsible for your own reactions. You realize you have power over what affects you and what doesn't, which thought overpowers you and which doesn't. And this creates distance between you and the object, like we just discussed. Now, observation and spirituality are definitely interlinked. Now, observation is the most important thing we need when we meditate. Only when we learn to observe our thoughts can we detach from those emotions. When we realize I am not my ego, I'm not my mind, I'm not my body, I'm not my thoughts. I am an observer. I am a being that observes. I am an expansive being that observes. So every spiritual teaching, every culture teaches about observation. So not only is observation great in everyday reality, but in also with meditation and spiritual growth. Now, observation can also prevent failures and defeats. And let me give you an example. The author Torkom Sardarian, in his multiple books on observation, he talks about a number of incidences where his ability of observation helped him overcome difficult, complicated situations. So when you think of it, when do these accidents happen most of the time? When do we fail to do certain things? When we are not in the present moment, we are lost in our thoughts, we're not paying attention. That's when these accidents happen. That's when we goof up. That's when we say, oh, I was not seeing, oh, I wasn't paying attention, I didn't listen, I didn't know about it, right? And the author talks about a number of times when he was able to help others with this ability to observe. One such was he helped himself in one of these examples where the author and his friends were out for a lake swimming getaway, and they decided to go to this beautiful lake with clear water. And the friends were so excited, they asked the author to join them to this beautiful, pristine looking lake. And the author is a keen observer by nature, so he noticed that this lake had not a single living creature in it. Even though it looked clear and pure, there was not a single living creature inside the lake. And he immediately understood that it is not the right place to swim. But his friends did not listen to him. They got excited and they went ahead anyway. It turned out to be a radioactive lake, and they ended up having rashes and irritations because they did not observe. So observation can actually prevent failures and defeats. And you may have heard of Sherlock Holmes and the power of deduction. It's all about observing. How can you observe? When you are mindful in the present moment. When you observe, you can prevent small things. You can observe if somebody is depressed, if somebody is speaking differently, and that they have a neurological issue that you can prevent if you were to observe. There are these little things that the author talks about, which happens solely with the power of observation. Though that's why all failures and defeats that often happen are because of lack of observation. And henceforth, with observation, you can prevent a lot of failures. Now, what is this connection between observation, concentration, and intuition? Concentration is when you focus on one thing only. Like if you were to look at a group of people, you are observing a group of people around you. But concentration is when you decide to focus on that one person and see what are they doing. Observe every single thing, and you suddenly focus so much on what that person does that you begin to concentrate. So it all starts with concentration, making you observe, look at the bigger picture. And when you get better at focusing for a long time, you concentrate better. And that eventually leads to having a stronger intuition. Your intuition is nothing but like 100x speed of your observation. So a lot of times your intuition will tell you something immediately. Just do this. It may not make logical sense because it is our brain has not yet processed it so quickly. But as you observe more frequently, you'll notice your intuition sharpens. So it will give you information which you have not yet been able to process logically, but your intuition has already observed those minute details. So intuition is maximum observation and the fastest observation. So concentration and observation lead to having a stronger intuition. And most companies, the CEOs, they function on intuition. They don't just function on logic. And intuition is something which is something so key to most of our activities that each one of us could benefit a lot more from intuition. Now, I want to end this PPT with this key slide, which talks about the supreme purpose. Yes, just now we discussed about the physical benefits of observing, emotional benefits of observing, mental benefits. We observed how different ways observation can benefit you. But the supreme purpose is how you can spiritually identify that you are not your body, you are not your thoughts, you are not your mind, you are not your possessions, but you are consciousness. You are that expanded being of pure love, pure joy. If you look at babies, they are born as pure love. They just laugh. They're just innocent. They're pure joy. So each one of us truly is that. But when you begin to observe, you notice what your human patterns are, your ego patterns are, and eventually you detach and accept the true you is just pure consciousness. And you are all pure observers. And a detached observer can find right answers for every question of life. Thank you, everybody. Over to you, Divya.
Wonderful, wonderful concept and wonderful. The way you share is so beautiful, Yashaswini. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, friends, if you have any questions, please feel to type them in the chat box. And if you'd like to answer the question directly to the speaker, you can raise your virtual hand. They will let you talk to the speaker directly. Looks like everybody is still processing the information you shared, Yashaswini. Let's see. Okay, one question, Yashaswini, from Vinod. Can you suggest some books on observation? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah. At the top of my head, I can just think of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And maybe Shibu could recommend some more on power of observation. Like I'm able to think of this. I can definitely share some more in the chat, maybe. Yeah, this is something I really loved, the concept Power of Now.
Thank you so much, Yash. And one more question is, While meditating, I feel pain in neck and shoulders. Please suggest what do I do? Either Shibu or anyone of you can take this question.
Yeah, sure. Again, I would say it often starts with discomfort. Like when we meditate, sometimes our mind plays tricks with us. Sometimes our body is not used to starting the meditation. So you may feel aches and pains and discomfort. And sometimes, like we were talking about observation today, sometimes observing that emotion, or I like to sometimes notice what is this pain? Where do I feel it? Or even I like to ask my body in my meditation sometimes, if are you holding an emotion in there? What is this shoulder pain all about? Am I feeling burdened, or what is it? My intuition will maybe tell me that it is the pain is associated with some emotion which wants to be released during meditation. So as an observer, you can just allow, do not resist that pain, just observe. Don't be attached, just be an observer and see if it brings up any emotion or memory, and meditate. As you meditate, it will clear up. Meditation brings up some of these aches and pains for clearing, for healing. So it is all for good. Nothing to worry about, but it is all in the process of healing. So allow yourself to be open as an observer to the messages you get or what you feel as you meditate. I hope that answered.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Next question is, while doing self-observation, what's the difference between self-esteem and ego?
Okay. So,
Okay.
okay. So self-esteem. Self-esteem is something we all have a picture of who we are, and we all need some healthy self-esteem or self-worth. Like I deserve to be here, or I deserve to be doing this. That is something we all need to have. N- Nobody has to feel egoistic for liking oneself. There is no such thing. It is not wrong to like yourself, to respect yourself, to stand up for yourself. The ego is when you stop just thinking of that, but get into the drama of it, or the ego, or start comparison with other people. Or ego is a whole different situation, I would say. But we all need a basic level of self-love, or standing up for yourself. So I would say these are two different concepts. And loving yourself is not ego, it is very healthy.
Thank you so much. One more interesting question from Santosh. How do we stop thinking while observation or while observing?
Okay, now each one of us has dealt with this challenge. Like nobody has ever not had thoughts while meditating. So, firstly, like again, do not resist or fear thinking while you meditate. It is okay. Now, what you can do is just one of a master taught me is to just focus on the breath. When you get too many thoughts, I like to say, cut the thought. That's what I was taught. So sometimes when you visualize just cutting that thought, you suddenly get detached from that feeling and you're focusing on your breath. Another technique that works for me is saying, initially starting off with a simple thing like this breath. Focus on every single breath. So say this breath, this breath. So your goal is not to meditate for 30 minutes, but your goal is to pay attention to this breath. So breathe in and breathe out. Your goal is to pay attention to this moment, this breath. And as you focus on every single breath, you will notice your thoughts, the concentration or the traffic of thoughts comes down.
Yes, thank you so much. One more question from Bhushan. Does being indifferent to things around us is same as being observed?
Very nice question. Like it is such a fine line. But again, indifference comes from like fear, or, oh, you know what, I don't care about this anymore, or from a place of hurt sometimes, or defense, right? But being an observer doesn't happen to have that ego or defense or fear. It is, we want to feel the feelings, like we want to care for people, or we want to worry if something's wrong with our country or community. We want to care for it. Like indifference is coming from a place of lack or fear, or coming from a lower space where you think you might get hurt, so you are indifferent, almost like a defense mechanism. But as an observer, you are actually asking yourself, like, what am I feeling? Feelings are your friends. Like I do not think indifference is a good or a healthy way to be. Feelings are your friends. Like if you feel a certain emotion, it's okay. Feelings should not be bottled up inside, because eventually that always comes up like 10x, explodes often. So feel what you're feeling, but as an observer you can notice, am I doing this from fear, or am I doing this to protect myself? Instead of that, just, it's okay to be vulnerable. Go out there, express your fear, just do it from a place of love. Always ask yourself this question: am I doing this from a place of love or a place of fear? And that will answer your actions. Yes.
Thank you so much. One more question from Kannan. Why do we lose concentration? Why do we get distracted?
Yes. It's a lot of things, like even how, I hope I'm audible. Yes, I think our current environment is designed to, our mind is so stimulated. We are overstimulated. If you notice on social media, we keep scrolling through videos which are like 6 seconds short, just 6 seconds. Every 6 seconds, we can scroll through a number of things. Within seconds, we can order food. We can scroll through 20 different restaurants. Now, considering how much of information overload there is, like there is so much sensory overload going on with how the world is. And these companies who are owning all of these social media programs, or these, it is these businesses which are benefiting from our ability to have impulsivity. Like we are not able to focus on what we want. We get distracted by the amount of videos out there, the amount of social media, and the things to shop or things to do. So the world outside of you is always going to want your attention, because your attention is money for them. So choose carefully where you put your attention. Your energy and your attention is your currency. So distractions will always be there. All of these companies are thriving because of our ability to have instant gratification. So to get that delayed gratification, to be able to sustain your impulses, meditation helps. When you meditate, you have better control over yourself and you won't get distracted that easily. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have one person who has raised their hand to ask a question. Let's get, yeah, we have Ashok Mittalji who want to answer ask you a question. Please unmute, sir. Yes.
My question. Thank you very much. I want to express my gratitude for so much beautiful presentation and expression of thoughts. And my question is already answered. My question was the difference between self-esteem and ego, but I am still confused. I am not very clear about the answer, reply, but I am grateful for the expressions.
Thank you very much.
If I can get more clarity on this difference between self-esteem and ego, because overreaction is because of ego, not because of self-esteem. So sometimes I do react maybe because of ego. So I want to focus on this. So please, if you can further clarify it. Thank you very much. You are very sweet. You are very, very sweet, and your expression is very, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think I would also I would invite the teachers in the group if they want to answer this, Shibu or Divya. I just want to add in one more point. Sometimes ego is always, again, from a place of fear or lack, or not feeling what is our real self? Let's compare ego and the real self. Our true self is pure love, pure joy, pure gratitude, pure grace, pure beauty. Anytime we are not functioning from that space, which is very normal considering these are the lessons we've come to master, we want to be acting from this space. Sometimes we get influenced by maybe a fight or an environment. So when we don't function from that space, when we function from like hurt or fear or like getting back to somebody, sometimes the self-esteem is lower. When you connect to this state of mind, you're automatically full of love and you are pouring that love. But sometimes when we are not in that state, we have a lower self-esteem, and I think that is what I'm trying to express. But I would really like if somebody else can also add into these points, Divya or Shibu.
Yeah, so ego, when I think about ego, Ashok sir, is, all the patterns which Yash was talking about, right? All the patterns, what we have identified, what we have picked up, what we think we are, right? Rather than who we are. So all of these patterns and what we think, the belief system is what constitutes the ego, right? All the falsities actually keep pumping into that ego. That is not what self-esteem is, right? Self-esteem is our real self, how we perceive it.
And maybe that we have not understood the other, so that is why we have reacted, and partly that maybe because of ego, we have not understood the other person's perspective and what other person wants to say. I'm actually basically concerned with the reaction at a particular moment, that maybe because of self-esteem is hurt, or maybe ego is hurting other. So ego may be hurting other, and in case of self-esteem, I may be get hurt. So that is the confusion with me. So when I get hurt, maybe my self-esteem is hurt or my ego is hurt. So what is the difference between the self-esteem and ego? Because if I don't get hurt, so then I will not hurt other. I will not react it. That is my actually query.
Your self-esteem is not affected by, I think your self-esteem would be unaffected by outside circumstances. It is when you believe that whether somebody labels me as bad or good, or I know who I am, so your self-esteem is unaffected. But you actually answered your own question so beautifully. Like, it is actually, that is so true. Like, I think that is what it is. Sometimes we don't understand the other person, so we are in our own perspective and we react from our perspective. We don't put ourselves in their shoes and understand maybe they also care for us, but their expression of love is different. Their way of talking maybe not what we like. But when you understand where they come from, because you are again in a higher state, so you can understand them better, then you will have a better understanding.
I think now it is very clear to me. Yes. Very clear. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. So one has to.
Ashok, sir, you went on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is that we have to, first of all, before reacting, we have to see the other's perspective. And then we can differentiate between whether self-esteem is being hurt or ego is actually hurting others. So maybe unless until we look into the other's perspective, we cannot differentiate. That is the answer, I think so. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very, very clear. So nice of you. I'm very, very happy that I have joined this course. I'm so glad.
That makes us very glad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yash. Thank you so much, Shivu, for wonderful answers for the questions. So we have a few more questions. Because of time constraint, we'll be answering them in the Telegram group. So you can just post any other questions you have in the Telegram group we have. And tomorrow, we're going to come back with a wonderful speaker, Pradeep Anirudh, speaking on power of presence. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow with a wonderful concept. So hope see you all, to see you each and one of you again. We'll be waiting for you. Thank you. Jenny, can we have the master slide, please?
Recording